Though I'm extremely happy for her growth, I knew that there was potential for a storm to be coming on the horizon, right? And based on that, I wanted to share with you some things that I have been able to do to overcome the loss of a team member and not lose focus as a small business. Have you hired a team and are now afraid that if someone quits, you'll be left with a load of trouble? Did you know nearly 38% of employees quit within the first year of employment, and over 40% of employees who leave within that first year do so in the first 90 days? Oh my gosh. That could be scary when you are building out a team or when you feel like you have to build out a team or you're at a point where you can because you want to start working on your business versus in your business. Well, the people in this study that left after 90 days, they left during this time frame because of a lack of career development opportunities and the job characteristics that they didn't like or some poor work-life balance situation. Now, regardless of why they left though, if you're not prepared, you could be in a world of hurt when this happens to you. So today on the podcast, I am sharing how this situation has actually affected me. I am giving you some steps to avoid losing focus when people leave, and I'm giving you some tips to minimize the retention in the first place. So if that sounds like something that you want to know more about, then this is definitely the podcast you need to be tuned into. All right, let's dive in. Let me tell you about my situation. It could have been a lot worse, but I digress. About 3 years ago, I was in a position to hire someone to help me edit my videos. Now, up until this point, I have been doing my own my own video editing, but I had gotten to a point where it was getting in the way of me being able to service my clients. And so I wanted to hire someone to do my editing, and I did. And when I tell you she is amazing. So much so that the person that actually found her, the recruiter that I used to find her, tried to steal her from me. She was like, I want her back. I'm like, no, no, no. You found her for me. I'm keeping her, and I don't want to share my hours with you. That's how good she was and is and continues to be. And I just thoroughly enjoy working with her. I find her to be very intuitive. I don't have to do a lot of hands-on with her. I can give her, just instruction and tell her kind of how I want things to go. But her videos are always so good. I've always been just so pleased with her work. Fast forward. This woman has been through so many iterations of my program, the way I wanted my videos to look, the type of videos that I wanted to do, how I wanted my business to run. She has been with me ride or die for 3 years. And when her business started to grow, and I'm going to take a little bit of credit for that because she was under my tutelage, considering she had access to all my content. So I'm just going to pat myself on the back for that. Anyway, I may or may not be wrong. I don't know, but I'm going to give myself credit just because I can. And she didn't say it wasn't true. Anyway, so she has been around for so long and through so many different iterations of my business. And I'm so grateful to her so much so that when she came to me and said that her business is now growing and she is getting to a point where it's tough, give my small piece of her business the time it deserves. And she wanted to kind of move on. She did so with a great email. She was very gracious and very sweet in letting me know. She also offered she had someone in mind to replace her. She offered to train that person if she worked out. I mean, it was just, she's just been phenomenal. Now, though I'm extremely happy for her growth, I knew that there was potential for a storm to be coming on the horizon, right? And based on that, I wanted to share with you some things that I have been able to do to overcome the loss of a team member and not lose focus as a small business. So I wanted to share with you my story because I think it's really important to understand how you could potentially be relating to this situation. You too may find that you are at a point where you want to start hiring someone to come on, whether it be part-time, full-time, contractor, full-on employee. whichever the case may be for you, you may be at a point where you think that that's necessary. But you also have to know that with the hiring of people, there may be a point in time where you have to offboard people as well. And so these tips that I'm going to share with you are ways to sort of help prepare you for that. Even if you're not ready to hire, these are things that I think are going to be very helpful to you when you are ready to hire. If you have hired already and you get a sense of some of the things that I'm going to be talking about today, that means potentially someone may be about to leave or they might be considering leaving your organization. I think that what I'm going to share with you is also going to give you some insight into what you can start to do to prepare yourself for that. So let's dive in. The first is to watch for red flags. That is my first tip. Watch for red flags. Now, I actually saw signs that my team member was considering leaving. I recognized them because of our interactions in the 3 years prior and how much time and the relationship that we have built together and her work ethic and all of the amazing things that she's capable of. So what started to happen was she was missing meetings a lot. We did actually adjust meetings so that she could attend them because as my editor, she needed to have certain information at a certain point in the week so she could get the right, feel of the video and have like my instruction and all of those things. And so she was missing meetings. We had our conversation about that. But that was like a red flag. Another red flag was her output became much like it was like on an autopilot. Prior to me starting to see some of the changes, her work was dynamic. I mean, it still is dynamic. It's not like it ever like lost its amazingness because she's always done a great job. But because I knew how things could be, I did notice how things had changed. And I started to kind of look at it with a side eye and think, something is going on. So I watched for those red flags. I saw them and I recognized them and I kind of sort of put them back in a folder in my mind, just kind of, okay, watch for this. But that in essence made me do some things a little bit differently. Some other potential red flags that might show up for you are you might see a decrease in work production, whereas I didn't see a decrease. She's actually continued to do things. It was just the missing of meetings, not quite knowing what I truly wanted in a video. Therefore, we had to go back and make adjustments, which was using up time that I didn't want to use. So we had to address that issue. And then I started to see there was some mundaneness to the output. Like there was like a lack of creativity that used to be a part of the videos, but they were still great videos. But I could tell just because we had developed a relationship on the front end and I could see there was a slight decline, a slight shift in output. And that sort of caused me to have a little bit of pause in what was going on. So yeah, but anyway, other red flags or for you might be a decreased work production. Also, maybe they're taking more days off than normal. That could be a red flag. Another red flag could be that their project output, or I'm sorry, their project input, where maybe they used to be very vocal and kind of give you ideas and really be on board and committed to the future of the brand or the future of the project. Now all of a sudden they don't have quite so much to say. They're kind of like, sure, whatever you like, that type of thing. That could be a red flag. Also, if you start noticing that there's a loss of enthusiasm for the work, that could be a red flag. So the next thing is to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Now, here is where I will say I actually have been from the start of my business, I could do everything in my business. I started off with a love of strategy. So I have loved the idea of researching, understanding industries, understanding best practices, and helping my clients develop the best possible marketing strategy for their brand. That's always been my first love. So that is kind of where I sort of planted my flag. But as I started in my business, what I realized is most people were not interested in that part because it didn't give them immediate return on their investment. So I started teaching myself how to create programs, how to edit videos because I needed to do videos for the programs. I started to teach myself about social media and how to show up on various platforms. I know it doesn't look like it, but I am older. And I did not come up in a time when I graduated from college, there was no social media. There was no Facebook. There was no Instagram. There was no TikTok. There was no Twitter. And so when I came up, I had to kind of learn these things after I graduated from college. I had to learn about social media. So I taught myself all of these things. So when I say stay ready so you don't have to get ready, I'm talking about begin taking back. Well, first of all, start off understanding your business from the ground up, right? If you have a thing that you do well, that's great. Do that thing well, but don't ignore the other things just simply because they're not your forte. In your business, I am a huge proponent of understanding every aspect of your business. You may not have to be proficient in it, but I do think it's important for you to understand basic function of things because when you start hiring people, you don't want to give someone total control of your business because then no, you don't want to do that. You want to have some idea of what they're doing and what they're supposed to be doing. So in order to stay ready, learn things, stay in a book, stay learning, stay understanding, continue to grow in your business. And so when you start to see these red flags, it's time for you to start preparing yourself, start taking back a little bit of control. For me, I knew this was kind of at a time when I was in transition about how I wanted to do certain things, and video was one of those things. So I have already, like, since the last 2 or 3 months, been researching better ways to do things and testing different ways to do things, changing up the editing style, making it a little simpler, doing different things on my end so that I'm sort of slightly, slowly taking back the control of some of her responsibilities, or at least making it so that what she's doing is not quite as advanced, so that the people watching the videos are already starting to see a slight transition in the way the videos are done. But that's purposeful because I'm making changes to grow and give the audience more what they want. But in turn, I'm also preparing for a pullback. I see a pullback because I'm watching for the red flags. And so I'm starting to take back a little bit of control instead of continuing to be dependent on someone that I am seeing red flags from, if that makes sense. Also, I want you here to start looking for ways to pivot or scale in a painless way. Like I said, I am in the middle of a small transition myself as someone who has thrived on teaching people how to leverage their personal brand, and I still do. Instead of trying to do that primarily by, having clients where I did their social media, and I manage their websites and email marketing and things of that nature. I'm going to continue to do that leg of my business, but as an agency, I'll be hiring people to help me with some of those things so that I can remove my hand from it so much. And I'm going to start concentrating a little bit more on corporate training, small business training, doing workshops, speaking, and really pushing my programs and services, from a consulting standpoint. And so because I was already in that mode, I am making changes anyway. So if there had to be a time that I lost a team member, this was as good a time as any. Also, here, I want you to look for opportunities to adjust the systems and processes that you're using in your business already. Because before you bring on someone else, this is also a great time to update things that you see weren't working with the team member that may be leaving or with the current team members. So for me, like I said, I've decided that I'm going to make some changes to how I do my videos. It's for me always been about streamlining anyway. That's kind of been my mantra. We do a lot of things and I produce a lot of content, and I'm trying to find ways to streamline that so that I'm not killing myself creating content, and I can, remove myself from that activity taking up so much of my week to actually now just distributing the content that I do create in a different way. And so when she came to me and said that she was going to be stepping away, it was at a time when I too was transitioning into a more simplified way of doing business. And so her leaving was not going to be too detrimental because I'm already simplifying things, which is going to make it easier for me to do if it has to come back on my plate. So here, when you find this to be the case, if there's going to be a major transition, this is a great time to either pivot or scale in a painless way. Now, the next thing that I have to say about when it comes to overcoming the loss of a team member as a small business and being able to stay focused is having an offboarding process. I didn't have an offboarding process up until this point because I just didn't have one. But now that I do have my first employee that is leaving, I can now decide, okay, what do I need to do to offboard her? But again, in staying ready so you don't have to get ready, one of the things that I implemented years ago, shortly after she came on board, was having everything in a digital cloud. So I don't have to worry about getting things from her necessarily. But because we kept everything in the cloud, Google Drive and Notion, things of that nature, most of the things that she has, I gave her. So I gave her raw footage that's in a folder in my Google Drive that she has access to. And prior to us getting started, I had everybody sign a contract, non-disclosure, non-compete type things. And so those things have been, honored and everything. So I don't have to really worry too much about that. So again, on the back end of this thing, the offboarding is really just going into the various platforms where she has access and removing her from the access and then reaching out to her via email to kind of close everything out, do an exit interview where we make sure that we've, checked all the boxes on the checklist for the offboarding process that I created. And then it's a great, a great goodbye. Now, the one thing I know for sure is that I just can't talk about it. I actually have to be about it as a leader. And that is true for hiring the right people as much as it is true about attracting the right audience. So that said, I want you to be sure to click on the link in the description notes, in the show notes, because I recently did a blog post that laid out my 8-step method for putting the BU in your business. And that is going to help you really identify what you need to do and be your best, but how you can recognize those red flags, but more importantly, how you can stay ready so you don't have to get ready. That's really what the basis of that 8-step BU method is about, is helping you prepare yourself so that whenever you do business, whatever business you do, you're approaching it from an authentic position and you're doing it so that it can be consistent across every area of your business. So you're ready, you're staying ready so you don't have to get ready. That said, I think this next video is going to help you establish a desirable company culture that attracts the right employees in the first place, okay? In it, I am going to be sharing with you my 8-step BU method for putting the BU in your business. This is going to help you by leaps and bounds to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. All right. Thanks so much for watching. I already know that you are going to subscribe. If you stuck around this long, you're going to subscribe. You're going to give the video a big thumbs up because that's so helpful. And you're going to leave a comment. I know you are. I already know. So in advance, I appreciate you for watching today, and I'll see you back here next week.